The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom.
What's going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and this is Deep Astrology, your weekly astrology forecast for the week of October the 8th through the 14th of 2019. Thanks for being on highvibe.tv with all this exclusive content that we have on our apps and our website. And this show is brought to you by highvibe.tv. And that's what keeps this show being live for you on YouTube and other platforms. So please check it out. We have an awesome new commercial that's out. I just put it up on my YouTube. Check it out. It's so awesome, and actually it's on my Instagram at the Leo Kingdom. And follow us on Instagram at HighVibeTV. We truly appreciate it. We have a lot of awesome new features coming out, and we'd love for you to see what's going on. Also, remember that this show is all about channeling the astrology if you've never watched it before, and going deep into the charts after that for this week, which are brought to you by Astrological for iOS, Android, and of course you can get that on your MacBook, you can get it on anything. Apple-wise, PC-wise, make sure that you check out Solar Flyer. Also, this show is sponsored by the W Bros and the awesome Zodiac collection for jewelry, for necklaces, for rings like I'm wearing right now. And 10% of the proceeds go to an awesome cause, about 10% of it going to the Anxiety and Depression, the American Association for that. It's so awesome. And these rings are super special. They come in sterling silver, 18 karat gold, 18 karat rose gold. It's so awesome, especially because of all the benefits that you get, and it's so cool. You can get all your zodiac signs. I've been repping them really hard. Check it out now. Put in the discount code LK10 to get your discount. Just go to thewbros.com. Check it out, the Zodiac collection. You'll be blown away. You can customize it with different colors. Get all your zodiac rings. I just got ordered. I'm getting my moon sign and my rising sign. I can't go out with double Leo Taurus, you know what I mean? And of course, necklace, I got a Leo one coming. Anyway, thanks so much. Check out the wbros.com. Well, wow, we are here in October, and I don't even know how I'm in October right now. Literally. Time is just flying by in life, but more importantly enough, we have a big week ahead. Holy moly, we got a full moon in Aries. Yes, all strong, but do you really feel that strong? You know, we just had a really intense Monday with the Sun square Saturn to kind of say, what is important in my life? I'm going to have to say no to this, and I'm going to say yes to this. These have been major choices coming into this week, and this is a full moon in Aries that wants a lot of things, right? Aries is like, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to go here. We also have Venus that just entered its Scorpio today on this Tuesday of Deep Astrology. Woo-hoo-hoo! So there's some steam that's building up, especially as Venus now is at its detriment. But oh boy, there is some deep energy right now with this Mercury in Scorpio and this Venus in Scorpio. And so, you know what? Feeling good. We want connection. And a full moon in Aries, it wants power back and it wants drive. But we are in the Sun in Libra. And I love Libra because you know what? This has been a time for us to really start to discern well. Because with Saturn and Pluto that are direct in Capricorn, and with the Sun and Mars in Libra, don't forget, the two energies that deal with this drive and ego and identity are in the sign of Libra. Now, what are the two places that the Sun and Mars don't want to be? It's Libra. Not that I'm putting Libras down. I love Libras to death. But remember that the ego and our drive and ambitions don't do well in Libra just because we have to actually find a balanced state. We have to think intellectually. And more importantly, we have to really see if things are really going to be harmonious or not. And this is a full moon in Aries. This full moon in Aries this weekend is all about like who you are and who you align with, but it's squaring Pluto exactly. And then Jupiter is going to sextile the sun and trine this full moon. So we are in a Pluto-Jupiter energy. And you want to talk about explosion and power and intensity and transformation and expansion all at the same time? That's what's building up right now. And I think that when you really look at your life, you can go, whoa, 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 this is a big time. But it's kind of weird because there's a lot of things that just aren't going to work out because Mars is opposite Chiron to start this off. So here's Mars in Libra. It's already a detriment, right? Mars is a warrior. It'd rather just be like, yes, let's go, let's go. But Mars is in Libra where it's like, okay, well, unless we have a deal or unless we like make sense of things or unless more importantly we find some sort of agreement, then I really can't go. And with the opposition to Chiron, here comes this really weird energy for Mars, right? Like already Chiron is in Mars sign, Aries. And there's a lot of this Aries and Martian energy coming in this week because of that. And here's Mars limp in Libra. It's not too limp, not like it's in Cancer, but you know, it is limp and it's opposing Chiron, which is like, you know, if we were to use the term limp, yeah, where's the Viagra, buddy? You know what I mean? So there is this kind of like, it's a healing process by just learning there are wants in our life that are not in alignment right now with maybe the way we want to. And the gift is when we accept the things that aren't working out, because there are true gifts everywhere. This is going to be the last time the Sun and Jupiter are going to make a good aspect with Jupiter and Sagittarius this week. And it's going to be with a full moon. And so I think that this is a reminder that there's a million gifts out there in the world. And there's this Pluto in Capricorn that's saying, you know what? Yeah, that's not for your path. No. This is for your path. Hell yeah. You know, there's like this hell yeah and a hell no. And with Jupiter here, it's like, yeah, let's just funnel the gifts towards the hell yeahs. But it's kind of funny. I actually only tweeted this. It's an old funny car commercial for an old Dodge Aries K car. In 1988, they came out, and there's like a spoof about it. So follow my Twitter. It's kind of funny. But it's kind of like, are you going to take this week and start to pump up things you know are really not on your alignment? Because we get really excited about things with the Sun and Jupiter, especially with this in Libra. And remember that this Sun in Libra has not had a lot of fun, right? It's been just going through massive aspects, and especially this week because the Sun squares Saturn, and then it's going to square Pluto at the end of the week with a full moon. So the only thing that it's got to form some sort of happiness with is Jupiter. Thank God. And Jupiter's at its home sign. It's in dignity. It offers gifts. It offers expansion and information for us to explore. But we have to be willing to explore and open up and see everything. And this has been a lot of trial and error. Saturn and Capricorn, Jupiter and Sag, right? Like open up, and then Sag being like, and Sag is like, okay, let's explore. And then Saturn's like, oh, but hold on a second. No, and I don't like this, and constrict this. And oh, so trial and error, expand, oh, wait, and then close, expand and close. It's like door open, close. Like what in the heck is going on? And this Sun in Libra is trying to understand it all. And with Mars as well, as it's making this opposition to Chiron, it's also going to make a quincunx over to Uranus this week. And so with that, you know, there's this whole element of like, these are two Venus-ruled signs. Taurus is where Uranus is at, and here's Libra with Mars. And Uranus is at fall in Taurus, and Mars is at detriment here. So these are there's a lot of these weird kind of energies that aren't at their strength, making some hard aspects. And I think that, you know, you have to realize that it's like, this is a time where it's like, it's okay to know that you know what's best for your life and what's not in alignment, and to not start getting excited about things that you know deep down, especially Pluto is your root chakra, especially in Capricorn, add that root to your determination of knowing what is best for your long-term path. If it just does not make sense, Uranus and Taurus, for the betterment of your life and at the quality that you want, how many times have you been to dinner and then you look at it and you're like, you know, I really like this, but it doesn't look that great. But I don't want to say anything because the cook just made something nice at the house, but you're just sitting there with a smile, like, and you sit there and you go, oh, it looks wonderful. Are you going to pull that this week? Why can't you just snip Pluto? I love Pluto. Pluto is just like a gone and done or activation. And a sun square Pluto, just by itself, not only is it a sun square Pluto, it's a sun sextile Jupiter. It's a sun in a full moon position with the moon in Aries, which is Martian, and Mars will be in Libra, just coming off that quincunx to Uranus, just coming off in opposition to Chiron. So this full moon in Libra too is a moon square Pluto. Like, where are you ready to be intimate in your life, and where are you afraid of intimacy? But part of that fear might be like, oh, I don't know, it doesn't really look or taste or feel or sense or look the way that I really want it to look. And that's okay. Remember that Libra rules like dressing up in a certain way. Libra rules like an element of understanding, like what does a diplomat have to do, you know? Like, what country am I going to go deal with? Well, they wear that, I'm gonna wear this, or I'm gonna wear that. There's an artistic form of Libra that I love so much. It's Venus ruled. It's elegant. It's classy. But there's nothing more unclassy than a Libra when they've had a little bit too much to drink and they go, and their kidneys fucking go, blip, 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 and then it's like unclassy fast. Nothing more scarier than a drunk Libra out there in the world. I'll just put that one out there. Woo! So I'm just trying to say that there's a lot of class in Libra, but this is where you get to drunkify yourself, because Jupiter's there like, oh yeah, this looks great. And Pluto's there too, being like, what are you doing? Like what? Are you just going to take this to over-excess? Because we have been through so much this year, and just this whole decade. We are coming to the end of the decade, but if you look at what we've gone through just in the last couple months, with all this energy that happened, with all the Sun-Venus energy, with the eclipse cycle that we were in, with Mars going through Virgo, and a new moon in Virgo with Mars, and the trine to Uranus, and then a new moon opposed Chiron. Remember, we're in a new moon cycle that's in quincunx to Uranus, and Mars is covering where the new moon was just 2 weeks ago. This cycle ain't over, baby. It's a weird one. It's weird with people. Venus is now in Scorpio, and it's going to oppose Uranus this week. If you think you know exactly where relationships and projects and all this stuff is going, guess where Venus was exactly right now? Last year, it went retrograde in Scorpio. And how ironic that Mercury comes into shadow on October 11th, before the new full moon. Now, if you don't know too much, I know a lot of people talk about Mercury retrograde and all this stuff. You got to remember that Mercury entering shadow period means this is where the period for where Mercury will retrograde back towards. So this is where you really want to start to make things stick with communication, with understanding things and drawing lines. Scorpio is boundaries. Scorpio is truth. And Scorpio is about putting it all out there on the truth and the raw on the table. And we were in a Venus retrograde exactly this time last year. And we're not in one this year. So Venus coming into Scorpio now is like, well, I'm not going to retrograde here? All right. I get to really throw some truth. And the problem last year, if you look at your life when it came to relationships and projects and money, is boy, oh boy, were you blind with a Venus retrograde Cassini to the sun, and oh my gosh, with the nodes that were squaring it, with the opposition to Uranus the last time. What was the craziness you were going through in October and November of 2018? Because guess what? You better not replay that story. Oh my gosh, that is going to be coming up. And do not use a full moon in Aries to barge your way through any door that you can, especially if you're going to try and replay that fucking story of last year. And even if you just look at things from a conscious perspective, you'll notice a lot of the things that happened in your life in October of November of 2018 are replaying themselves in weird ways. And that's what's weird. I think that we have to look at, we do not want to drift our energy off into weird spaces this week that we know are not best for us in the long term. The moon will be in Pisces this week, and it will conjunct Neptune, it will square Jupiter. It will make a quincunx to the sun in Libra and to Mars in Libra. And that is a weird in-between place between this full moon this week. Because we can slip up. We can turn from classy to unclassy. We can lose our sight on things, especially as Mercury will be coming into its shadow during that time. And so I think that it's super important for us to know that there's a lot of excitement here if you know discernment well. And more importantly, if you only go off your true deep intuition and you're not going off of desperation. Because desperation is really unclassy. Desperation is very unbalanced. Desperation is never going to get you what you want. Because a full moon in Aries with a Venus in Scorpio, with a Mercury in Scorpio, not saying that that's very desperate, but if it wants it, it'll get it. And with Sun and Jupiter in sextile, and even with Sun and Pluto in square, with a full moon in all this, we really can get whatever we want, but we do not want to come on the other side of this and be like, did I really just fight for this and I don't want it? You have to start to really look deep into your life, into the real truth of all the pieces need to really make sense for the betterment of your long term and the better quality of your life. I know that it's hard because we can get really emotionally, especially with the North Node still in Cancer and with Mercury this week that's going to be trining that North Node, and that's not going to be the only time that Mercury trines the North Node. Mercury is going to be in Scorpio for a while, and when it retrogrades on the night before Halloween, like literally we are going to be dealing with Mercury trining this North Node. We're going to deal with Mercury trining Neptune. We're going to see this grand trine energy between Neptune with Mercury and with this North Node for this next couple months here about trying to understand what will emotionally fulfill us. But with this Venus in Scorpio and opposite Uranus, let's be real, what's exciting? What connects you to where it feels good? What connects you to where it feels like, you know what, we see the same values, we're in the same values. There's a difference between seeing life, like we all have things in life when it comes to relationships or even just in general when it comes to love or just even projects, where we all might have an understanding of the same value. But, you know, we all go off in different cars, we all go off and live in different places, and we all go off and eat different food, and we all go off and shit in different colored toilets. Some people actually shit in gold toilets. So, there is something to say about, do we really line up in a lot of these valued areas? Because we desire deep emotion and we want that, but Venus in detriment in Scorpio, remember, is like, we have to feel that we are understood in the value systems that are connecting. And so this is where this is hard for the spiritual community and the collective right now. Because the truth is that everybody is really looking at how do we all come together? Because, you know, the one beautiful thing of Uranus when it's in Scorpio, which by the way, that was in the 70s, is it's exalted there because when people come together and they all have a passion, boom, they go in a direction. But this is a hard time with Uranus and Taurus because guess what? You know, it's kind of like, are we all on the same level here? Like, and are we on the same level in physical reality too? And I know that's such a non-spiritual thing to look at, but there is something to say about getting yourself involved with projects or relationships or situations where the actual physical realities don't meet really well. And that's going to be very hard with a Venus in Scorpio with a full moon in Aries of like, well, I want it, I identify it, and Mars in Libra, just wanting to connect. But are you willing to start connecting to energies that actually truly make sense? And that's why Pluto is discerning here. And Pluto rules that root. And there's an intuitive root. You know, when you're synced up, and I'm going to just hey, we're back in Scorpio, so I can talk about sex again. You know, it's so funny. I used to just talk about sex I loved it. Saturn in Scorpio, Mars retrograde in Scorpio 2016, Jupiter was in Scorpio. Finally, I got some fucking Scorpio so I can cuss again, and I can talk about sex, and I can be real again. But let's just bring up some sex talk, and it might trigger people about this shit. It is either the most lined up, like kabam, or not. It is either like, oh my gosh, the sensuality with this Uranus and Taurus is there too, and the physical attributes actually being like, wow, that is fucking hot, or I don't know, that's kind of hot, I can get through this, but my eye's gonna wander somewhere else. That's some fucking truth right there, yo. And I'm looking at this because there's so much Martian and Scorpio and Aries and Libra. This is really a battle between this Martian and Venus energy. I mean, that's what this is. And with Pluto that's trying, and Jupiter that are both trying to kind of be the watchers of the game and betting. It's almost like watching Jupiter and Pluto bet, as Pluto's in Capricorn, like, all right, he's like rolling up in his old like Bentley, you know, from like the 1930s when he was discovered, with his old Monopoly like kind of cane coming out, but he's really cryptic and he's got, you don't know how much money he has. And then there's Jupiter and Sag rolling up like in the big, you know, with all his buddies, and he's like trying to be like all cool like Wolf of Wall Street, and he's gonna show everybody how big he is and how he's gonna bet on how people are gonna be in these relationships and defining themselves. So it's a really weird bet. The old guy that's discerning, but he will rip you to shreds because you don't know what's behind there, but he's also knows and he's intuitive. And then that Jupiterian energy, like, I know everything, I know all the people here, and I probably got the whole thing rigged too because I know that guy, but he doesn't know that Pluto and Capricorn actually made a deal with them, with like $1 billion deal undercover. So that's the scary part of this Jupiter, is like, don't start putting yourself in Wolf of Wall Street mode and just being like, yeah, I'm gonna bet on this, baby, woo! Without being like, does that really make sense in my physical attributes of the things I want in my life? My quality of life? Does this align with what I do, what I make, how I sense? Yeah, the emotion's there, but like, the physical reality's gotta match that. So we have that orgasmic connection of life. And with this Pluto there, it's gotta be like that, and we have the same understanding of long term. And the ability to go to long term. And so this is really going to be a massive week, because Jupiter and Pluto, even though they're betting on this game, and Pluto's the one in negative aspect, Jupiter's the one in positive. So actually, at the end of the day, Jupiter might pull this one out at the end of the day through luck. And no matter how much control Pluto thought he had, maybe the horse that was rigged in the horse race, and even though he secretly had everything betted on, somehow that horse falls or something. I don't know. There's more positives than good. But when there's more positives than good, you've got to make sure that you don't go to the grocery store hungry. You know what I mean? How much of that shit actually makes it into your stomach, and how much of it just ends up rotting and going in the trash? Maybe that's a bachelor thing. I don't know. But I'm the king of that shit. Maybe it's my moon in Taurus. But I'm sure you can all associate with too much of a good thing, walking into a grocery store and being like, oh, I'm hungry, and let me get that. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. And then you eat, and then you get busy in life, and then you're like, why the fuck did I buy this thing? I'm never even going to eat it. Like, I was just hungry. And then you feel horrible because it just sat in your fridge, and then somebody's coming over, and this is bachelor life, you know, you're like having to fucking pull your fridge out and fucking throw everything away, and then fucking fruit flies. Like, what the fuck? Do you really want fruit flies flying all around? Do you want things to go rotten? You know what? Oh man, and I'm going to close with this. This full moon with the square to Pluto is the offering of the evil queen hidden in disguise as just some old lady with a nice rotten apple to Snow White. And it looks good. But this is where Taurus comes in. Thank God for Taurus. And this is where the spiritual community is the most triggered for the next 7 years with Uranus and Taurus, because vanity actually will save your ass. I just said it. Because that bitch does not look like she fucking has a nice apple for you to eat. I'm sorry to say. She looks creepy. I would not take that apple from her at all. And you can get it from just the way that people speak. Remember, Taurus rules the throat. I said, I don't know when it was, maybe it was last week on Deep Astrology, that it was like an exorcism. That especially since Pluto has now come direct, like the door has closed. Those that are awake, and those that, if you really want to try to like wake them up, it's going to be really hard now. I'm just going to be real. Because they all, and I know I might sound crazy, but they've all been taken over by dark side or whatever, and nope, and blocking out. So you're going to have to be careful now as a light worker out there and anybody who's awake, because guess what? The dark's going to come up with these things that look really good, and you have to use Uranus and Taurus. You need to be a scientist and be like, let me look at this. Okay, you have a nice apple. Who are you? Like, what are you wearing? Are those Birkenstocks? And are your toenails showing and you haven't cut them in 4 weeks? Ew. I'm going to actually take an apple from you? That little piece of information will save your ass. If they don't speak in the way that you know, like, what are you doing with an apple, creepy old weird witch lady? And you're just handing it to me? And then there's that other element of like, I don't even know if there's any apples around here. And I do want to say that there is something to say about people exposing themselves and the creepiness and how they can be. Whether that's a laugh that makes you annoying, or it's something that just makes you feel like, ugh. Because this moon in Aries will emotionally know what it wants. This sun in Libra, this Mars in Libra knows what is equal. But it's this very hard Venus in Scorpio that wants desperately to feel what it wants or to have what it wants. And it's when this Pluto squared, you just learn to say, it looks good, but no. Is when Jupiter comes in and goes, all right, you passed the test. You understand the whole understanding of the universe and how the whole thing works. Because that's what Jupiter's testing everybody with. Do you understand the whole thing? Like, if you're going to be in spirituality and you think it's all one way or this way only, or that belief is the only belief, or that way only, or if you only follow scripture, that's the only way you're going to go to heaven. Oh, it went to mute. It's so funny. I got it. It's on. It was mute. And it's funny because even at that moment right there that I said that, put my hand in my pocket and it goes to mute. There's something to say about a lot of that. That there's going to be a lot of energies that are going to be doing everything they can to persuade you. When you have to just know. I know. That apple looks really good, but I'll wait for the next apple. I hope you enjoy your Birkenstocks, and I hope you get that athlete's foot fixed. And I know a good surgeon that can cut that really gross thing off your fucking nose. And I know that sounds horrible, but that's just a dark entity that's trying to come in to take you on the last good portal of this Sun-Jupiter sextile. No more Sun-Jupiter stuff, folks, with Jupiter and Sag. We're going to have Sun and Jupiter conjunct right after an eclipse, after Christmas with the South Node in Capricorn, okay? That's not the most greatest energy. I'm just going to be real with you. You're not going to get the full benefits of Jupiter. There is one more Jupiter element that is coming that is good, of a portal. And it is after the Mercury retrograde, and it is coming November 26th with the new moon in Sagittarius, with Jupiter at the galactic center, and with a new moon at 2-3 degrees, trine Chiron. But even then, that'll be the last moment of this Jupiterian hope. And remember that the moon, it was with Jupiter last week. This week we're not with Jupiter with the moon. It's going to square the moon. It'll trine the moon in Aries, like to Jupiter. That'll be nice. But we're going to get 2 more passes and it's over of Moon Jupiter. That's it. Those are 2 benefics. And so this is where my help to try and help you see the discernment between what is really good for you, what is the best for you. You have to start to remember you're a fucking human being and you are not here to just wear white clothes and be I'm a spiritual person. Because you have to remember you're a fucking human being, and you know what? I'm sorry to say, Taurus is the thing that saves you. And people wonder why in the spiritual community, why some people are better off than others. It has to deal with your throat. It has to deal with your discernment. It has to deal with you knowing the quality of life. And you know what? I don't come on this show and don't do my fucking hair and get a haircut and take care of myself and wash my face. Like, this is where you have to start to see who's showing up with the same values, and maybe those aren't your values. And so then you align with the people that are in your values and you'll be good in that space. But Uranus is trying to take us all to a better place in our life, especially right before Saturn and Pluto come conjunct. Like, this is no more joke. Every deep astrology is going to be trigger as fuck. I'm just going to, you guys are going to have to be on, you're going to have to be on the team with this or not, because like, if you're on this boat with me, I'm going to be standing up there being like, calling up all the real shit. I'm not going to let the spiritual community and that ideal and the new belief system, and that's the whole part of this Neptune thing, that the spirituality's got to look this one way. White robes and this or that or blah, blah, blah. And did you have this morning? And did you manifest because of this? And did you do that? It's like, I think the biggest laughter that's going to come of the age of Aquarius is it's the age of being a human. And we will have AI and we will have machines to be a reflection of reminding us that we're human. And what are you going to be doing when they start putting on fake skin? And you're going to be doing the same thing you're going to be doing this week with normal humans and discerning what is real. But in a decade from now, you're going to be fucking terrified when a fucking android is in your face and you don't know whether or not it's real or not. With an alien baby in it. It's kind of creepy. Kind of creepy. Because is that going to be a thing of a test of spirituality when you have an android in your face And you're not going to be able to tell whether or not it's a real human or not by able to looking at the actual senses. This is where senses come in. I'm sorry to say, if you go on a dating app and you start swiping left or right, you don't know anything about the person. And what are you basing it off of? What they said? I don't know too many people that are like that. I'm sure people read the shit, and then if the person looks good, then yeah, then you're like, hell yeah. But still, you know you're still swiping right if they look good and there's nothing written. That's part of life and being a human. It was funny, today I was looking at Botticelli's, the birth of Venus, like the beauty. There's a part of this where beauty and emotional connection can mix. And if there's something off and it doesn't feel the beauty that you like, and it doesn't feel the sensuality that you like, and it just has a weird feeling to it, or it just doesn't feel the way you want it to feel, or it doesn't attract you the way that you want to feel attracted, that's going to be that Pluto being like, fuck no. And then Jupiter's going to be like, well, that means that if you said no to that, let me open up what's behind door number 5,695. Because now I know what door to open for you. What do you got for us, Vanna White? All right, let's look at the charts. I'm on a rampage tonight. All right. October 8th, 2019, 10 years ago today, I got kicked off True Beauty. No joke. Filming. All right. We are at the halfway point of the sun in Libra, 15 degrees. It just made that hard square to the south node in Saturn. That was a weird time of, you know what? Coming into this week, what is not in alignment in your life, you're going to have to say no to things. You can't have everything. Can't have everything. And that's okay, because what's important to us right now is the things that are going to make us feel balanced and emotionally fulfilled with this North Node in Cancer and with the sun that squared this spot. I had to say no to my Jet Ski World Finals. That's this week. All my friends, all the racers, all my sponsors, they're all there right now. I should be there right now. But I got to do astrology. I got to. And I got to put myself in a better place in my life and not stress myself out. I don't have the amount of energy. I don't have the amount of time. I have to do a lot of work to do all that shit. So you know what? Why even go put myself through it for a plastic trophy? This is where the value thing comes in with Uranus and Taurus. And that's why we are really having to think about this. So Mars, as we're doing this right now, is an exact opposition to Chiron. And so when you have Mars opposed Chiron, yeah, anything that does not look exactly the way that you think it will, sure, there's healing, but there's also healing in knowing that that is also, you know what the beauty is. And so follow that. Follow what makes sense, what is equal to. The other thing too, which is kind of interesting here, is this Juno that's been in opposition, of course, that was to Neptune. So a lot of weird relationship stuff, or people thinking that this is what it's going to be, or this is what it is, and now it's shifting to where it's getting out of that, and we're getting Juno trine Pluto. We're going to get to the truth of really the kind of partners we really want in our lives now and get much more deeper into that. And there's going to be a lot of revelations with this Uranus opposed Venus. But the main thing here is this whole week, as the sun is at 15 degrees, it is going to be squaring all the little spots between this Saturn and Pluto. So it's going to be an intense week. And it's going to be teaching you how to say no and how to say hell yes to only the best, period. All right? Also, this moon in Aquarius has been good to kind of help us get out of the energy really fast that was intense with the sun square Saturn and with Pluto that came direct last week and all this stuff. Like, there is something to say that this moon in Aquarius kind of went, yeah, okay, and like, let me start putting the pieces together, and I need to disconnect. I need to kind of pull out and reevaluate things and see where it makes sense and what does not. And now Venus is in Scorpio with Mercury, and Mercury is getting ready to come shadow. So you better start, if you need to confess something to someone about how you feel, whether that's good, bad, ugly, whatever, or you need to just put something on the table, you've got till October 11th. I'm doing this horoscope on the night of October 8th. So guess what? It's almost over. You better just put it out there. Because guess what? We're not going to come out of this whole entire Mercury thing until pretty much the end of November, when finally we're going to be at the end of Scorpio. We're going to be with the sun in Sag, and just only like a week of Jupiter in Sag with the sun and the new moon, and then it's over. And then there's no more doors opening. Like, we are coming into where, and we are all running as fast as we can. It reminds me of, Indiana Jones, and the ball is falling and the temple and everything's falling, and you just got to keep running. It's like Temple Run, the game. You better start taking what you can get now. And you better also get out of the things on the runs that you don't want to go run towards. Oh, God. It's a whole other story. All right, let's move on. We're going to move to Wednesday now. And this is where things can get dicey. And that's why I said this moon in Pisces this week is going to be making a quincunx over to Mars. It's going to trine over to Venus and Mercury. But this is where this class has to remain, as the sun at 16 degrees is going to need to make sure that we're not losing our grip on things, and that we are still paying attention to the equality of things, the balance, and more importantly, some sort of discernment, because this moon in Pisces is going to get dreamy, and it's going to connect with Venus and Mercury and be like, ooh, I want that, or ooh, that imagination can come true. And I'm not saying not to go there. I'm just saying, like, throw it out there to what your intuition says, but also don't start creating some sort of intuition of what you want based off like some sort of delusional idea of it all. Like, there should be like this whole knowing. There's something about this week about just knowing and seeing through, like, yeah, no. And if you're getting a yeah, no, then just why keep repeating that in your head? But this is where repeats can happen. A sun in Libra and a moon in Pisces is all over the place. They're both energies that are both looking at so many sides: conscious, unconscious, fair, unfair, good for me or not good for me. I mean, this is a lot like the devil and the like angel on your shoulders all week. And the creepy woman with a friggin' apple that is wearing Birkenstocks that needs to put on some athletic, athlete's foot spray. Bad. And it smells bad. So it's pretty easy to make discernments on that, but then this becomes this moon in Pisces, like, well, oh my gosh, maybe I can like not look at the feet and like look at everything else and not look at that weird thing on the nose and, like, what's behind there? Like, is that the last? Are you starting to do that? Are you starting to like look for the one space that's gonna make you feel good, like in things that you're like, no to this, no to that, but hold on, let me keep looking. Just no. And I think that this moon is difficult as well because Mars is still opposing Chiron. So this is where people act into desperation, because Mars opposed Chiron feels like, man, I feel like I've been screwed. Things didn't work out. I wanted them to. The moon's in Pisces offering, well, look at this here. And this Venus in Scorpio is this apple. Woo! Does that look like a fucking apple? I don't know. I guess, what is an apple? Like a little apple. But this is a weird spot, because last year during the Venus retrograde, especially on Halloween into November 1st, it was at 0. We had the nodes in Leo and they were squaring, and we had Uranus in opposition. So we're getting through this, making sure we also don't go into old stories of what happened, that you tried to repair or you tried to do some weird things during that time. Okay? Like, that story's over, and Venus is trying to get out of that story. And I want to make that one clear, because part of this discernment is with Uranus in opposition, as you can see here at 5 Taurus all week, getting ready to oppose the midpoint, especially of Venus and Mercury in Scorpio. Guess what? It's going to bring up just random, out of nowhere, like, what? Hello? Yeah, this is Alien Baby. What? Hello, do you remember me from November and October of 2018? Hello? Really? That shit did not work. Yeah, but it can. Fuck. No. Or, well, I'm not really feeling well right now, and I'm just sitting here by myself watching Netflix, and my first world life problems of feeling alone. Yes, let's figure this out again and go through the chaos again. Are you down? Hello? Hello? Ah! I really don't want to do this. Don't answer the door. We're in Scorpio energy. We are approaching Scorpio. Don't get yourself prepared for a Halloween with the most haunted house of your whole life and all the ghouls and goblins coming up. Woo! This is going to be a fucking fun week. All right, October 10th. Mars finally comes off Chiron. That's good news. But here's the quincunx starting to Uranus. So you want to talk about adding some more craziness to this Venus as it approaches? Oh, this is just getting primed. Here's this Juno trining Pluto too. So you know the kind of person that you want in your life because the reality actually makes sense in all ways. One thing about Virgo is, you know why I like Virgo? Because Virgo is pretty straight to the point. That shirt does not have wrinkles on it. This is a time for you, if you're going to start making your relationship choices and stuff, I know it sounds horrible, but if there are wrinkles in the shirt and you're just trying to go, oh, well, or it's got lint all over it, or it's just not fitting, or it's not doing what you want it to do, it's just like, why are you fucking doing that? Why? Don't go backwards anymore. I mean, this is insane how people can go backwards because the moon's going to be conjunct Neptune as it's quincunx the sun. This is delusional relationships or the most highest relationships ever if you're really good with discernment and you're really good at like seeing things and you're really good at, putting the things together. But I think that, with the square to Jupiter, it's like, yeah, you've got to like remember that there's a lot of options out there. This is going to be hard this week. Because that sun is starting to look at Jupiter, but it knows it's starting to square to Pluto. And so we have to like be open, but we also have to be like, let's start weeding shit out. The faster you weed everything out that is not working, the better. So you can come into this full moon and be like, well, I don't have many options, but let me see what Jupiter's going to bring up behind door number 4 or 5 or 2012 and 6,000 million. Weeding out this week. Of course, we need comfort, though. That's that North Node in Cancer, and here's Mercury starting to make its trine. But this is more about the intuitive detective. As Mercury and Scorpio is a detective. You need to be a detective this week. We need to call Dick Tracy. Dick, get on over here. You're your own Dick Tracy. You're your own Roger Rabbit. You know what? That makes a great point about all this, is that I really believe that Roger Rabbit and what is it, Jessica Bunny? What was it? Or I think it's Jessica Bunny, right? Yeah, Jessica Rabbit. That, believe it or not, there is something to say about their relationship that works. Because she ultimately loves him purely for just who he is and knows. And he's goofy and she likes funny and she's like really sexy and attractive. And if you remember in the movie, all the guys and all the studio producers in the movie, they're all trying to hook up with her, but they all want her for her, where she, like, Roger's just silly and funny and just keeps her entertained. And that's what she wants. And so this is like where, sure, maybe odd combos start to come out. I mean, it is Uranus opposed Venus. And so I think that it's like, well, does that really make sense, this and that? Yeah. And there's something about, Roger Rabbit, who he seems like such a goofball, and he seems like such a, like he can't save her. Like she needs some what? I guess you could think of like, especially because a lot of women watch this show, like, oh God, like we should just get, what's that character with the Thor? She should be with Thor. That makes sense. She'd get so bored with Thor in like 1 minute. Like, he's got a hammer. He's got like the look of the hair, but like, and then it's like, wonderful. What else is there that you can do without the hammer? Nothing. So the discernment, sure, you'd think, well, if you're talking to me about discernment and you're looking at Roger Rabbit and her, she's probably like, that's a weird rabbit or whatever. But you got to remember that with the way that their situation is, I actually like this picture. This is the best one to see. She is obsessed with she's got a lot of romance she wants, and that's what he holds. He holds that romance. And you'd think it's an odd couple, but really it's actually more of the divine connection. And there's a sense and a knowing, and, you know, that's why I think when you look at some people and some couples, you'd be like, I don't get that one. But you don't know what's there. There might be somebody who wants to take on the creepy witch, like, and might like to lick athlete's foot with toenails and Birkenstocks that haven't been cut in months. Somebody might really think that's sexy. I know that there's crazy, weird shit out there that people like to do shit with feet. So even though she might not, so you got to look at it from the witch's side, right? Like she might not be like, oh, nobody wants to take my apple to turn them into fucking sleep so I can fucking, you know, I don't know. So I can be the most beautiful person. It's like, actually there is that weirdo down the way that actually really wants that apple, but more than the apple wants your athlete's foot. I don't know why I got that, but you know, there is something to say about, that's how kind of bonkers this all is this week, where it's almost like, well, you can't, I think we have to discern sure from levels. They're both famous cartoons. They both are from Toontown. They both are popular. They both have the same ideals with love. So it makes sense. But the humans in that movie want to be with her. The humans. And they try everything too. You gotta remember in cartoon world, it's cartoon world. There's not like a cartoon character in that whole Roger Rabbit movie that even was like some sort of Thor of like, yes. And this is where we are all learning that our perceptions of what we think is perfect is truly not, that we have been sold these ideas. And so we're looking for this certain thing that actually maybe this moon on Neptune actually will maybe wake us up out of our deep sleep and see what's actually been there that the God has provided for us. There's a lot that God's trying to provide. And it's bonkers because Venus opposed Uranus, you know, Sun in Libra, sextile Jupiter, these amazing doors that open with the Sun squaring Pluto. It's like, but what's good for the long term? And is this in alignment? And it's like bonkers and it's intense. And there's a lot of things of people kind of in a desperation mode, and there's a lot of loss. And Uranus and Venus, whenever you see them, it is a turnstile of energy. Like, wow, I thought it was this. No, it was that. No, it's this person. No, it's this project. Or no, this is where it's going. Or this person's connected to that and that connected. Bing, bing, boom, 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 pinball. Which, by the way, Craig was playing pinball the other night and sucked horribly at it. It's true. But in all fairness, he didn't play for more than 10 seconds, so it's all good. All right, so let's get to October 11th when Mercury is now in shadow. So here's Mercury at 11 degrees. This is where Mercury is going to station and come direct. I think it's around third week in November, somewhere in there. I think it's on the 23rd or 2nd. I think it's 22nd. And so on this Friday, coming into this weekend, we are in preparation. Here's the sun, 1.5 degrees away from Jupiter. Here's the sun, 2 degrees squaring Pluto. Here's the moon in a very weird place. Now, would you call this moon void off course with Chiron right there? Well, technically it is, because there's no aspects to this moon after it leaves Neptune and the 20-degree sextile to Pluto. Nothing. It's empty, void space. And so, Mercury in shadow, make your plans now for the weekend and Friday into the weekend. Don't try and make them on a Friday night. You're going to go, where did I end up? Moon at the end of Pisces in void, off course moon is just, where the hell am I? And it's stuck between Chiron and Neptune. What a weird world to be in. Chiron and Aries, a weird world you can't identify. Neptune, this imaginative, but like, you know, there's a weird space. But also there's something about Jessica Rabbit being the Neptunian dream and Chiron and Aries being the Roger Rabbit who wears red. And they both wear red, so you could even switch them both. But there is something about this emotion that brings them two together. There's something about relationships, especially since we're in Libra, that there is something about the dream of what we want that holds the weirdness of what we want and how we can intersect those together, a lot like the yin and yang, you know what I mean? Like there's a way. There's some sort of way that this could all come together, or the figure eight, like, you know, there is something about this. And underneath all this, and hidden, is a moon, void, of course. Now, we're in pretty big preparation because as we come into Saturday, no full moon yet, although the moon is acting full, the moon will oppose Mars. Mars will quincunx Uranus, and Venus will oppose Uranus. That is a lot of Uranus activity. And the moon will be hot and active in opposition to Mars and getting ready for a full moon. The sun will be sextiling Jupiter and starting its square to Pluto. This is an intense weekend. And that's why I'm saying you almost don't want to kind of drift yourself into hope. Like Mercury is in deep shadow now because, of course, now we're entering into deep shadow because it's at 12 degrees. This is where Mercury is going to be slowing down and stopping and starting to do some weird shit there. So this is also Mars at the degree where the new moon was 2 weeks prior. So it's like there's been something that's been building up for 2 weeks that's going to be at a crucial point of decision point. That's going to happen. 2, things are going to be Mars activating Uranus in a quincunx and Venus in opposition to this. Believe it or not, Venus wins since Uranus again is in fall. But there's something about, and Mars is in detriment and Venus is in detriment now. Remember that. So we need to really act accordingly to kind of trusting in this bigger picture and looking at the options and being just discerning, because we are not the best at defining what we really think is the best for us if we're not using our intuition and we're not using our root gut sacral instinct, like yes or no. And that Uranus and Taurus, all it offers is the trigger word, the vanity of it. Does it really look that great? I was going to say some crazy shit, but I guess we're, you know, and be careful nowadays. Everybody's so like sensitive. I'll do it as an easy one if it was high school prom. Or kids might be getting ready for homecoming here soon. It's like, do you really look good in that dress? Does he really look good in that suit? Or does that suit really look like a cheap suit? And if it's like that, Believe it or not, you were all in training. You were all in boot camp for how to discern AI and freaking machines that will look like humans in this next decade. Now, that one is going to blow your mind. And also negative entities and like succubuses and incubuses, people who are desperate and needing things. But there's this part of Uranus and Taurus that's like, hold on, I can fix everything. I have this, and willing to give it all away to Venus as she is in Medusa's house. Here, Medusa, here you go. What do you need? You need something? What do you need? And Taurus, you need something? Here. Oh my gosh. Shit. I just got taken for. I was desperate. This is a lot of harsh, this is a lot of positive only by just learning to say no and saying that that's not, I want this, but there is something that's beautiful in all this, with all this Neptune and the moon, with the moon and Chiron, with all this stuff. And even Venus in Scorpio, you know what you really want. You know what's there. You know what it looks like. Mars is very good at seeing in Libra what makes sense, what aligns. The sun is in a good space. I'm a sun square Pluto person, all right? I was born with this motherfucker. Like, that's why you guys see me. I'm not afraid about throwing out triggers. I'm not afraid about going all in and doing 7.5 years every day of a fucking horoscope, but never stopping. And showing up here on Deep Astrology every Tuesday night while you guys are sitting at home in your beautiful houses and wherever you're at, or in your car, or on the beach, or wherever you're at, in a shack. I don't know where you're at, but guess what? You know I'm always fucking here. That's Sun Square Pluto. Where is it that you can truly know that you are all in and that you will bring life to things? Sun Square Pluto is the power of life. I also want to bring up another part of it. It's also crime, though, too, if you're not on a good path. And it's also egocentric, and learning to change the ego of what you define yourself, of what you think in relationships you want, when you're looking at something that's so beautiful, but you're going to deny it. Because actually you almost are cryptically wanting the creepy lady with the freaking apple, and maybe even somebody who you were dealing with from October and November of 2018 to come back with that apple, instead of seeing the beauty that's in front of you, that is new, that maybe you haven't reached out to yet, that you haven't tried. Now this is the big full moon, October 13th. I think it's hilarious that it's on the 13th. So we're gonna have a full moon at 20 degrees of Libra and Aries, bang. Mars coming off that quincunx to Uranus, Venus coming off that quincunx. We're going to have Mars and Venus in a semi-sextile exact. This is a pretty interesting chart to me. We also have Mercury, which is trining the North Node. And I forgot to bring that up about the day prior when all that's going on with weird energy. Like with Mercury trine North Node, like it's like, come on. Don't go start gambling on things that you already like feel inside. Like, I'm not going to win on that. Again, Pluto, Jupiter are going to be gambling on how we all deal with this. But the big news is the square to Pluto at 20. So here it is, 20 degrees of Capricorn, and it is an exact square. See that? 90 to the sun. All right, 90 to the moon. So Sun square Pluto, Moon square Pluto. You better be all in, and you better want to eat that thing and lick it till it's to the Tootsie Roll has reached the center, and then even you want to eat the stick. Because if you just want to only lick it a little bit, and then you're just like, let me get through it and bite it and just kind of, I'm sorry, it's not going to be fun. And then on the other hand, I want to use the analogy of the dinner again, at the dinner party, and the mom that makes you dinner, or the dad, or whoever makes you dinner, and you're at your friend's house, or maybe you're dating someone, they make you dinner, and like liver and onions pulls up in the front of you, and you're like, what the fuck? We at Musso and Frank fucking 1919? And you're like, Or what was that cartoon, Doug? Didn't fucking Doug's friend, what was his buddy's name, always have liver and onions? Skeeter. You're at Skeeter's house. There's a problem here. It's okay to be like, you know what I do when somebody literally gives me food and like, I don't want to be rude, but I'm real. I'm just like, oh, you know what? I actually don't really like that. It's okay. Why don't you save it for somebody, or I just really appreciate you. I don't know. You know, looks like you did a great job. It's just about being real. And if that person gets offended, that's on them. This is going to be clashes. But Jupiter's just trying to say truth. And what is behind all the, what is it about experiencing something that you actually deeply know in your intuition that you know you want to have, that actually feels right, that comes from your sacral, it comes from your root, it comes from this excitement, and it comes from this understanding, this balance, and there's a lot of signs, and there's a lot of things that just feel right, and you just know, and it doesn't have any questions, and the only question is, why haven't I gone into that? Why haven't I yet? It just keeps coming back to this Mercury for me, because then Mercury is also sextiling Saturn. That it's like, it just makes sense long term. It makes sense because there is some sort of path you can see forward. If you can't see a path, and I'm not talking in your head, like as far as like your imagination, but it's like you can literally see a path. Like, okay, you have that, you have this. Like Mercury in Scorpio is a appraiser from the bank. Let me appraise this house. Let me appraise your car. Let me appraise this. Let me appraise that. Oh, you've got that. You've got this. I've got this. And it's an appraiser of the inner. You feel the same way I do about love. You feel the same way I do about sex. You feel the same way I do about this. You feel, you have the desire, you have the edge. And Mercury and Saturn, definitely in Capricorn, Saturn in its home sign, and Mercury in Scorpio, there is something to say that we're going to get a couple of these passes here, because Mercury's going to come all the way to 27 degrees, remember? So it's going to sextile in a lot of aspects to Pluto and to Saturn during this whole entire Mercury retrograde. And I want to remind you that this is a moment where Mercury and Scorpio is going to have to listen to Saturn and be like, Saturn's going to be like, just drop your boundaries down and go connect to what makes sense, like, and what actually has it. Like Saturn is to the appraiser, the CEO of the bank that gives out the loan, like that says the yes, that signs the check. The appraiser doesn't sign the check. The appraiser tells the, hey boss, okay, it looks good. Like they got like 2 million in assets. They're asking for a loan for this. Like we can get that if we need it. All right. You sure? I'm sure. All right. Did you investigate this thing? Do they have a creepy nose and Birkenstocks on? Do they have athlete's foot? No. All right. You can tell I'm not a big Birkenstocks fan. Sorry. Monday, as we end this week, we end with the moon in Taurus in opposition to the Venus in Scorpio. And Mercury's already past its sextile. But here's this moon Uranus. Here's after a full moon. And now we're in a Venus-ruled moon and a Venus-ruled sun. And we're at 21 degrees, we've passed the square, and we're coming into a nice zone here where the sun will not be hitting anything. The sun will not be hitting anything in cardinal anymore. Now it's getting ready for its opposition to Uranus on the new moon in Scorpio. But that's 2 weeks away. So that's why, as we turn this corner on this full moon in Aries, like, you really want to be discerning and you want to make a good choice, because this is also the sun done making a good aspect to Jupiter. There are no more Sun-Jupiter aspects until they come in together in Scorpio. We are done. We're at the waning part of this, 60-degree sextile. Like it's done. It starts coming to its last semi-square, and then it comes to a semi-sextile, which is not that great, especially in Scorpio and Sag, and then in Capricorn. So you want to use this. If you see something that you got to put it out there, and if nobody accepts it, that's okay. Jupiter will open up a door this week. Mars is coming off that quincunx over to Uranus, but this moon in Taurus opposed Venus, the moon is exalted now, and it's going to set the record straight. This can feel great, that we could go forward. This is exciting. This is what connects. And maybe there might be some things that don't, but it will be pretty clear on what does and what doesn't. And Mercury's going to be trining Neptune coming into next week. And Mars, well, it's getting ready for the squares of Saturn and Pluto. So, and that's coming in the next 2 weeks as we come into this new moon in Scorpio opposed Uranus. And there's not going to be a lot of, it's going to be fucking crazy town, folks, coming up. Crazy town. And Mars square Saturn is a block. Do not waste this week. The moon in Taurus is finally giving the Venus energy with the sun in the Venus ruled sign. There's at least some exaltation of one of the lunation elements. At least one, something. You got to remember that this whole time that the sun's been in Libra, sure, it was like in Leo. But we have not seen exaltation and dignity moon meet up with the sun at fall position. And so next week we go into good things based off what we took on through this week. This is the week. This week will blow your mind. And it was a great time. I threw money in your face. I literally told you to be a asshole and discern off physical appearance to help you train yourself to know the difference between AI and a human and a succubus and an incubus now. It's been a great time. But I really want to tell you the positives are, it's so clear to know your intuition and to use the physical reality to see it too. People that try to fight their way to prove something to you, that's not going to work. People are either on the level and they're on the emotional level that you want, and they have themselves ready to go to that place, or they don't. That's it. It's pretty simple. And I know it might sound crazy, but really, if you feel deep inside, if you really go deep, and I ask you to close your eyes with me for a second and feel what you want in your life, what you want to connect with, what you want to have, what's beautiful, and realize that it doesn't need to be crazy like last year, especially October, November, during this time, where you might not think it's crazy, but actually underneath, you were blinded. You're not blind now, you're awake. So open your eyes with me, because you're awake and you can see, and you can take those feelings that I just told you and actually see them physically. And if they don't look like it, just be a polite, diplomatic, classy Libra energy for the Mercury and Venus in Scorpio and go, thanks, but no thanks. No. I love you all very much. Make sure you check us out, highvibe.tv. And make sure you check out thewbros.com. Check out the Zodiac collection. I got my Leo ring on. They got awesome necklaces, sterling silver, 18 karat gold, 18 karat rose gold. You can change it up. LK10 is the discount code. Check it out now at thewbros.com. And of course, highvibe.tv. I am going to be recording this week my 2020 survival guide for the next 3 months coming up through this October, this November, and December. So it's like a 2.5 month video coming to the 1st of January and actually pretty much to the eclipse points. So I'll go all the way to Saturn Pluto here. Although I'm going to be doing a whole nother big thing about Saturn Pluto, another video that'll come near the end of the year. But I'm going to do this survival guide because this is going to be nuts. After this full moon, I'm sorry to say, folks, it's just going to pop off crazy. There's not a lot of more supporting energies. Like, it's just like all, you better have a good seat. You better have found who you want to sit next with. And this is the week where you find out who are you going to sit next with, friendship-wise, lover-wise, business-wise, all this stuff. And all right, ready to watch this fucking crazy-ass movie? You ready? You sure? And you don't want to turn over and you don't want to turn over and go, oh my gosh, what's that smell? Those fucking feet fixed, you know? That's not fun. I'm sure you've sat on a plane next to someone and been like, get me the fuck off this thing. I love Scorpio because you know what? It's real. And I know that I have Mars and Saturn there, so I come across as the harshest Scorpio energy there is in a Leo form. But I'm just going to tell you right now, don't put yourself in a seat you don't want to sit next to. Do one that you intuitively know actually God is giving you the answer of what is. And your natural human senses know what is too. And it's this that makes you a magician. This is what makes you ultimately the true divine connector. And when you can mix these two, you're a true alchemist and you're the magician card in tarot. We got After Dark next. Love you all very much. Make sure you stay tuned. Dylan's back. We're going to throw some human design in there. We have a lot going on. We'll see you guys soon. Stay tuned, and I'll see you on the next report.
It's so exciting that the spiritual community is on the rise, but finding a spiritual network that's just as exciting is daunting. I mean, all this old regurgitated content from 10 years ago and old footage, and then of course you've got the light and fluffy stuff out there that just makes for a good meme and just makes you feel like, okay, and get left with that depth, that connection. And that's what High Vibe TV is all about, raising the vibration with exclusive daily, weekly, curated content with our in-house studios, all about astrology, tarot, intuition, doing curated talk shows about art, about going even deeper into the universe, aliens. We talk about it all, connecting with your guides, human design, whatever is new and cutting edge and part of this new age, it's all on here on highvibe.tv. Check us out on our apps on iOS, Android, Roku, and we're on Apple TV. Or go to highvibe.tv. We have live shows. We connect with our audience. It's all about the community. Raise your vibration now. Check us out, highvibe.tv.